Well. We are officially live for the Pour It Out
Here
segment.
we go. Here we go.
Whew, it's been a minute. The holidays and you traveling and me closing on this house. Just so much has happened.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, y'all hear her pouring hers out.
You hear it?
That is the segment. Pour it out.
Pour it out. This is let's see. It's a whole bunch of French words on here. Pignon de Charentes. Charentes, I guess I could say. What it is it's a cognac infused wine.
Oh, wow. I've never heard of that. Is
Yeah.
it strong?
Yeah.
You, you said, yeah. Okay.
Look, all I pour. I pour.
You freezing up.
Mm. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Let me see if I need to change my Wi-Fi just real quick.
Okay.
You can still hear me, right?
Yes, I can. So, this is our first segment of YouTube only of Pour It Out. And because Sheonta is the one that came up with that, I want her to tell you all what this is about, what we'll be doing on here. We are two therapists and two friends who just gonna be on here and talking. Intimate,
Yeah.
um, just conversations that some people probably wouldn't have. Um, just candid conversation. It's just the time for us to relax and have girlfriend talk, and y'all are privy to it. And so
Yeah.
tell
Y'all
us,
get a
go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nope, go ahead.
I was gonna say they get a good night tonight because we got a lot of catching up to
Yeah.
do.
And
Yeah.
so we're live on YouTube only. We were on Facebook before, but now we're going to YouTube, have gone to YouTube. And so yeah, we might get a little more down and dirty.
That's fine
Hmm.
with
Yeah.
me.
That's funny because I got my blanket too.
Yeah, it's cold. What's the temperature there?
Um cold. Cold.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then I have mine, but I have a client a little bit later. So this is a skinny margarita. Now, skinny margarita, I don't think means that it's less alcohol. I'm not sure. It just calories. But nonetheless, this is what I have: a skinny margarita. It tastes a little lighter. Like you can tell, it's not as much margarita stuff in it, but
It's like not the real thing.
it's like a if you have a pop and you have a diet pop.
Y'all trip me out with that pop stuff. Cause
Oh, pop is
it's
soda.
soda for us. Yeah.
Well,
It's soda or sody, as the women on 1,000 Pound Sisters likes to say. Give me a sody. I want a sody.
I've never heard of that. A
Yeah.
sody.
A sody. Yeah, I hadn't heard about it either until I watched that show. I was like, God, that's pretty funny.
Okay. Well, so tell the people where it came from, where Pour It Out came from.
So I was watching the show on Netflix called Sweet Magnolias. And they're three friends. They've been friends since they were I want to say second grade, elementary school. We'll just say that. And one of the things that they do in a lot of the shows is one of the friends is a bartender and she owns a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And they do a session called Pour It Out. And during that time, they make like margaritas or any type of drink, and they sit down with each other
Oh,
and
any margarita?
sure.
I
So
doubt it, right?
I doubt it highly. Highly doubt it. But hey, you to each his own. Because I'm about to be going on a Daniel fast, so my glass will have ice water in it for the next 2 weeks.
Well,
So you know, but I think her name is Dana Sue. But yeah, she pours it out with them. They pour it out with her, and during that time, they literally pour out the drink, and then they metaphorically pour out whatever's going on with them at that time in life. So a lot of different things come up. It's led to arguments. It's led to like them making up. It's led to a lot of different things because what I love the most about it is the transparency and the
mhm.
vulnerability that they, share with each other, and the openness that they provide for each other. And so for me, I really like that idea of having a friend that I could be open with in that way, transparent with in that way. And so that's where the idea of Pour It Out came from. Just us coming together as close friends and really just pouring out with each other, discussing life issues, discussing anything in hopes of not only just for us, but for other women that may be going through some things that they may be able to connect with us and be able to understand that life happens.
Mhm.
Even in January, the third day of January, life has happened. Life has been lifing already. And
Mm.
so we want to provide that space
I'll
for
drink for that. Drink to that. Yes,
we
yes.
want to provide that space for women to know that, if they can't pour it out anywhere else, they can pour it out with us here. They can comment about what's going on with them. They can even email us about topics that they would like for us to pour out
Mm.
and
Mhm.
discuss. We just want to provide a safe space for our pourers.
Yes, because it's not easy to pour, right? A lot of
Mm-mm.
people don't have the safe space, don't have a person they can pour and legit just like let it out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think metaphorically, when you pour something out, it's kind of releasing, right? If I poured my skinny margarita out, which I'm not, I'm pouring down my throat.
Yeah.
But if I poured it out on the ground, it kind of feels good to be able to pour something out.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're building this space not only for us, it is a space for us, but it's a space for other women who don't have, people who they can pour into or pour it out with.
Yes. Yeah. 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 They don't even feel comfortable. They don't even know what vulnerability means, which
Hmm.
is the whole purpose of this, to really create a safe space for vulnerability, to
Hmm.
normalize vulnerability. So we
Yeah.
will really get into things that people may not necessarily feel like they can talk about.
Hmm.
Marriage, children, finances, life. It's just life, just different things that we go through, not just in a bad way, like
Hmm.
give experiences about what we've learned along the way. Like I know you have exciting news. Um, I'm coming off a vacation, so I have like clothes everywhere. Like if I could turn this camera around, y'all would be like, "Oh my God." Clothes everywhere. I'm washing. My daughter goes back to school tomorrow. My husband goes back to
Hmm.
work. So that means I go back to work.
Hmm. And one thing you said that if you turn the camera around, and so that's what a lot of times what we don't do.
Mm-hmm.
We seem like everything is all good, right? We
Right.
show the good parts, but we have different parts of our lives that's not always together. And
No.
so sometimes I feel like that needs to be shown, right? In the right space. If it's a safe
Yeah.
space, it should be shown because we go through things. It's called
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about the vacay because you just came off of vacay.
Mm-hmm.
How
Mm-hmm.
nice. Beginning to start off the whole year on vacay. First of all, we should introduce ourselves. I mean, we just hopped on here like everybody knows. And then when we get to 100,000 followers, they will know us right by then, but
Yeah.
we got to let them know who we are now. So you want to go?
Well, I'm Sheonta Bailey. I've had a lot of time to reflect while I was on my
I
vacation.
bet you did.
I want to introduce myself and how I want to make sure that people know who I am. I'm a friend. I am a wife. I am a mother. I am also a child advocate. I am the voice for children who don't think they have a voice. Um, Athletic coach, mental health coach, helping the athletes, especially young ladies who may be struggling with mental blocks, self esteem, confidence issues. That is the area where I have decided to specialize in.
Mm.
Um, we may get into that during these segments, but I like to just be friend in this space.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
Like we could say so much because we are way more than even our introductions, right? Like
Right.
I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, but that's not me. That's not all that I, encompass. I am
Mhm.
this year, my word is servant.
Good.
Welcome on in. Welcome on in. We are having a poured out segment, so feel free to pour out if you have any comments you want to leave. We just talk about life,
Yep.
and how lives. And so right now we're talking about ourselves, just introducing ourselves. This is a weekly segment, and so feel free to hop on in, to come on in. We're very transparent, transparent
So you
in
go
these
making words
segments.
up.
Very transparent in these segments because it's a safe space for us to be transparent and hopeful in hopes of teaching others how to do that as well, because it's freeing when you're able to be transparent, and not have to carry around or wear this mask of I'm this and I'm that. No, we all human. So we all have flaws, right? And so on here, you may see some flaws. You may see us cry. You may see us, I don't know about snap on each other. I doubt that. But, we'll have differences of opinion, but it's a safe space. So welcome, okay, all of you. Um, and
It's a safe and healthy space.
yeah, and then we come with our drinks. I have a skinny
What did you say?
somebody was calling.
Oh,
I have a skinny margarita. And so
and
that's what I'm kind of drinking on, and I'm listening to some. If y'all can hear it, it's some instrumental R&B sax music because I needed my brain to be able to relax after the day I had. So
Ooh,
again, welcome on in. As I said, I'm a
welcome.
marriage and family therapist. I talk all things power and purpose. This year, my word is servant. I am a servant. I am serving more than I ever have. That's the goal, to serve more than I ever have. I like to help people get to their goals, right? I want them to be able to accomplish what it is that I want them to live a fulfilled and purposeful life. And so that is my goal in serving. Now, what I'm not going to do is, if you don't want to come up out of where you are in serving, I know that I will leave you there. And when you get ready, you always can get on board, right? But, you can't make anybody do anything that they don't want to do. So, as a servant, I know when enough is enough. And I know how to take care of myself as well. So, that's
Period.
me.
Mm-hmm. Um, I've been praying about my word, and
I can't hear you.
you can't hear me.
No,
Can you hear me now?
no. You want to go out and come back in? Yeah, yeah. So, um, yeah, this pour it out. We just have our drink. So, What are you drinking on? Who are you? You feel like being vulnerable and sharing who you are. What is your word for this new year? We are at the third day already. And as we talked about at the beginning, life has been lifing already. And so, do you have a word that you are standing on for this new year, right? Like, what is your word that you are really focusing on, concentrating on? Like, your mind is there. This is who I'm going to be or what I'm going to do. What's your word for this year?
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Um, so that was one thing when I was on vacation that I really like tried to hone in on. What was my word? What was my word? What was my word? And to be honest with you, it just came to me while I was sitting here listening to you. My word for the year is increase.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just I don't feel like I've been fully giving 100%. So now this year is about more increase, giving more of me, giving, but not to because I have this tendency when I hear that to just like go hard in the paint and like a multiple things, but no, like increase in areas that I've been assigned and called to work in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
What
really like, go hard in those areas.
and what would those areas be?
Helping with children, being more tuned into my daughter's needs, being more available. I just today I had a friend that sent me something about going to a brunch on Saturday. And so I had to respectfully decline because Saturdays are now date nights for us.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Sundays are family nights. So things, unless it's like something that's really exceptional,
Mm-hmm.
I'm having to learn how to truly increase my availability in areas of wife and mother, but not just in title and name, but in action. Being more present, being more available for my ministry, like where God has called me to be. School is a thing that's on the table for me. So making sure that I'm, making myself available, So I really do think that this is going to be a year to where I'm going to be less available probably for recreation
Mm-hmm.
and more available for like assignment,
Mm-hmm.
calling.
And that's what increase means, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be filled with the things you need to be filled with.
Yes. Yes. So not as many brunches, and things like that this year, which is fine because I'm on a weight loss journey myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so the brunches and the drinking like that, that right there is
That's why you should have a skinny margarita.
I might do that next time. I'm telling you. 2 weeks of water and ice. That might be the next thing that I go into. Who knows? Like, but even if I feel like, for me, it's all about moderation. And, you don't really get control until you start like not having that moderation. And so that's what it's going to be about for me, just things in moderation, pulling way back. And it's crazy because I thought it would just be food, but like as you were talking, I'm realizing like, no, this is where I'm getting ready to be in life.
I mean, it's a saying that says what you do in one area is what you do in all areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you are working in that one area of increase, it's going to go across the board.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's just going to be way more of that. It's gonna this year I think is a sacrificial year for me.
Mm-hmm. And I
So
would say that's what my last year was.
mm-hmm.
And mine will be too, just in a little different way. Um, I've never really looked at servanthood, and it's never been something that I really wanted to embrace. So I don't know where the word came from. It must have been the Holy Spirit telling me it's time to serve, because it's time, I guess. Maybe it's some growth that I'm going to see in serving. So
So when you say serving, like, what do you mean? Like, how are
Well,
you?
it'll be serving. First of all, I have to be very, very cautious of how much I can serve because I have a business and I have this whole, these whole lives and stuff that I do with Tony Talks, and then a husband, and then just multiple things that I do. And so it's not a whole lot more that I can take on, but I do want to serve in the church. And so when we get to Orlando, I will be signing up for a ministry. I've never really been faithful to a ministry. So giving up my time because I feel like I have some talents that are needed. So when I say serving, it is giving all of me things that I have experienced, just sharing me to be able to help somebody else.
Yeah, I think that's great because you do have a lot to offer. You do have a lot to bring to the table.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
yeah, I definitely see you doing that. I mean, like, it's so many things, like dealing with women who are like going through divorce, to like helping marriages thrive. And I really do think that's a need in the church.
Mm-hmm.
That bridge between spirituality and mentality. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there is a true need for that in the church.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so in all areas.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually just talking, James and I talk all the time. Like, we love taking long road trips because that's our time to really, really dig in and talk.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we talked about was church and like the generational cycle, I guess you can say, that's even in the church, and how we traced it back to, you give the money, and then after you give the money, it's almost like, oh, well, we need you in this leadership role, we need you in that leadership role. And
Mm-hmm.
because you're giving the money sometimes for attention, when you get that leadership role, you feel so like elated to have it, that you sometimes you don't say, hey, thank you, pastor, but before I go into that role, I really need to heal myself. And so you have a lot of broken leaders in the church trying to help other people heal from things that they haven't even tried to touch themselves. And so then that's when this cycle of hurt people starts in the church. And then you have these people that don't want to come to church anymore because they feel like, oh my God, like, I got hurt so bad in the church. Like, why do I go? If I can't go in church, then where can I go? Then they don't want to go to counseling. They don't want to do these things. And so I think instead of just putting people in positions because they give you money and they line your pockets, you should really focus on people who really are qualified, because that's what the church is about, right? It's about healing hearts and healing
Mm-hmm.
minds. And you can't do that if you're not qualified. Just like, I'm not going to a heart surgeon that hasn't went to school,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm. You just, and I don't even think we talked about that because one of my things that I just put on my website, well, I didn't put it on yet, but it's going on there, is church consulting. And I
Oh,
don't think,
yeah.
did we
No,
talk
we
about that?
know. We did it. Oh, yes.
Church consulting, right? So I will
Yes.
consult with the church, let the pastors know, the head people know how important, from the senior pastor on down to, I don't care if you serving the children, how important it is to have therapy
Mm.
prior to just choosing somebody, because they may have a gift, or you may see this, or you may be lining their pockets. Come on, let's be real, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so that is one of the goals that I really want to see take off, because there's so many churches that have hurt people that are leading, right? And so that bleeds onto the congregation. And
Yes.
so you just confirmed for me that that was like God, right? And
Yes.
I've never heard it. I've never heard anybody talk about that. It's
Because
always
it's
like,
like,
huh?
because the cycle is what it is. Like, the church does. I don't even think the church knows they need it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But I guess my thinking is, how do I get in the door? And because you just confirmed that that was a God idea. It wasn't just me. I know that he will open the door. So I don't have to worry about, thank you. I don't even have to worry about how will the door open at the right time. It'll open.
Because it's a true need.
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
I think a lot of coaches, I think a lot of pastors now have been convicted. Um, so you see a lot of pastors now not focusing so much on like browbeating people about giving money. You know what I'm saying? And now they're trying to transition like into like coaching spaces because they realize like what I was saying to James is you have to think about when you read the Bible, what real like minister was rich? John the Baptist wasn't rich. Paul wasn't rich. All these ministers and so they weren't rich. And so
Hmm.
in my mind, I don't look at a minister or a man or woman of God that's delivering the message as someone who should be like super wealthy. I just don't. Because like where are you getting your money from?
Hmm.
You know, now I think that I'm talking about solely now, solely as a pastor.
Hmm.
Now if you
But
decide
most of them do all kind of side hustles, though.
no, and some of them don't. Like I had a pastor that completely said he was quote unquote retired and was literally living off of the income of the church.
Mm.
So, you do have ones that do that as well. But I'm saying now you do have the ones that realize like I don't need to be, lining my pocket with the church members' money because whatever comes into the church needs to be for the church, not for my household. And so you do have ones that they're either going into coaching because you can use your gift as a pastor to coach,
Hmm.
because you already have that shepherding type of gift, so it can be used in a coaching space. And that is totally outside of pastoralship. That is your gift and your calling that you are using to monetize, and go further. And so I don't look at my pastor as like using people when he's operating in his coaching space. That is totally his gift, you
Hmm.
know. And so I'm liking seeing that. I'm liking that pastors are, stepping into these spaces now saying like I'm a pastor first. That's my calling, but that's not my career. That's not where I get my income from. And I'm going to stop browbeating people into making them feel like they need to give this money. Because let's just be real. You giving all this money, but at the end of the day, if everybody in your church is tithing and you on a payroll, you getting some of that money.
If you're on payroll, yeah.
Yeah. And so, and a lot of them are,
Mm.
especially like the old school pastors, they were on payroll. They
You
are
keep
on.
you freezing up.
Okay. I changed my Wi-Fi. I don't know.
It
I'm
just
sorry.
it's like when you talking, it'll but it catches right back up.
I
Hmm.
wonder is it because I'm moving? Maybe if I'm still. Is it better now?
It seems like it. Yeah.
Okay. So I think it's because they're on payroll, and when they're on payroll, they talk to you different. They, and I'm not saying that this is everyone, but I do think it's some type of generational cycle that has impacted especially our culture.
Mm.
And so I really am grateful that you're deciding to operate in that space because there needs to be some type of awareness. I think that's what it is, the awareness piece.
And then one of the big things is that I've just recognized is that it's just like in the last, I want to say, since the pandemic, that pastors have even recognized the importance of therapy, right? Like,
Needed it themselves.
right. And so I've heard several pastors say that they've gone to therapy, because they had some of their own stuff,
Mhm.
but it's not being pushed, right? It's not like the pastor is saying he went, but it's not like really letting them know how important it is. And so not only for the members, but for the people you are electing or choosing to be ministers, right? Because that's just a high calling. I mean, it's just it it's like if you are choosing them something excuse me, that you do, if you're not healed, you may say the wrong thing. you may influence in the wrong way out of your trauma. And
Yeah.
so that's just, I don't think that even the pastors are looking at it. And that's why I know it had to be a God idea, because it needs to be, every church needs to know that we all have some traumas, right? And so if we're going to be called to serve over God's people, that might be why, that might be part of the serving, because I didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That if we're called to serve, we got to be true. We got to speak the truth, even if it hurts, even if it's something that is uncomfortable or maybe strange or not thought of within the church, right? We got to be open to newness, revelation, right? Revelation is if I come and I don't want to throw nobody under the bus,
Just
but
say it. Just say it, girl.
if
Just say
you've
it.
been
Just
at,
pour it out.
I know, if you've been at churches, right, and been under certain people, sometimes you can see their trauma.
Oh yeah. Oh
And
yes.
so, but you're standing up there and then you're teaching, and is that, I mean, your trauma is being, you're influencing from your trauma space instead of heal you, then you can speak, right? Because I know you're talking about the word, but hello, invest in yourself first.
But you know what that is? That's the emotionalism.
Yeah, yeah.
You
There's
know,
a lot of
where
that.
they can, and I think that's where pastors need to understand that they have to work, especially if they're not professionals in the mental health space. Spirituality and mentality are two different things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So spirituality really pulls on your heartstrings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you see people crying, you see people falling out, you see all these things, because it's all about being moved emotionally in the spirit.
Emotions.
Yes, it's an emotional thing. But at the same time, if you're just moved emotionally and you're not challenged mentally, you will not change. And so, a lot of times, if you are not gifted in the area of being able to mentally speak into people, you leave them high and dry, which is why a lot of people, after they get up off that floor, they go back to the weed, they go back to the crack, they go back to the bottle, they go back to all these things because emotionally they were moved in that moment. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like a high. But then when you don't mentally have something to stimulate them into change, then they stay stuck.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, my motto for my business is a healed mind leads to a healed life. Now, once your mind is renewed, even the Bible talks about that, right? Renewing
Yeah.
of your mind,
Mm-hmm.
then everything else is impacted by that. You
Mm-hmm.
could, how many spiritual people do we know who I just, let me as a therapist, are cuckoo. I'm just gonna call it out.
No, seriously, because the Bible talks about it in the beginning when it talks about the spirit moving on the earth.
Yeah.
When you are spiritually moved, things happen. But that's not it. Because if that was it, then why did God have to say, let there be, let there be, let there be? That was the action steps. And then there
Mhm.
was. You see what I'm saying? And so for me, I feel like there has to be a combination of
Yeah.
an emotional pull, the spirit moving, but also a mental do this, do that, in order for real change to take place.
Which is why I am a kingdom therapist. So I know theory, I know what I've been taught, I know, how to help somebody to change their thoughts, behaviors, and patterns. And I also know the spiritual side of it. You need both,
Mm-hmm.
Jesus and therapy. And ain't nothing
Both.
wrong with that.
You
Both,
need both.
and it's beyond church. It's like the word. You need to know the word, right? The word
Yeah.
is true, but your mind has to be transformed.
Yes. And it's hard sometimes, just like it's hard for you to be emotionally moved in church and then just go out and like live a different kind of life. It's also hard if you're sitting down and someone's trying to like force feed you something that's going to change your life. But if you haven't been moved by the spirit, it's not going to work. That's why both are needed. So I'm not bashing pastors, I'm not bashing churches, but what I'm saying is I feel like spirituality is not enough.
Yeah.
It's just not enough.
Because, baby, guess what? You know how many people, church folks, and those who are, I'm a spiritual being, I see, but their mind, because of traumas, because of things that have been undealt with, then it doesn't allow them. You can praise God to the highest,
Yeah.
but if you don't transform this,
Yes.
you gonna still walk in that same stuff, and you ain't gonna walk in power.
Spirituality touches the heart, therapy touches the mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So you
And
need
when
both.
you need both. And when you're willing to work in both of those areas, I truly believe that the spirit has to touch you and even put you in a place of being aware that you need it. And then when the spirit touches you, your mind, it's almost like your mind is unlocked.
It's open,
Yes,
man. I saw it yesterday,
yes,
and it's so amazing when they can blend, right? And so you can only work where a person is at. But this person was open, and boy, were they open. So both was able to happen, right? A
yeah,
spiritual side and then the natural side, which means work, right? Now you are aware of who you are. I was able to help them to see who they are, because my new model, I made a new model for Get Your Mind Right Therapy Services, which is I expose, and that was a big word. I was like, for real, God, like
yeah, that is a big
expose.
word.
Yes. You got to expose it, right? Because you can hang around, you could be friends with somebody. Most times there is no exposure because you don't go to those deep things, those deep seated and rooted things. You need a professional, somebody who knows how to get to those things, right? So that person stays the same. So I expose the unhealthy thoughts, which become behaviors, which become patterns,
Yes,
help you create more healthy ones,
I
right?
love,
So you can live a productive and fulfilled life.
I love that. And I'm just sitting here thinking about when I was in school for counseling, how they would tell us like you need to pray for your clients. You can pray with them, or you can pray before they come in the room, but you
Or
have to,
both.
or both. But
Mhm.
I'm realizing why that's so important, because you have to put God super on your natural.
Ooh, baby.
Like you have to, because there's certain things that you just cannot do.
Yep. And I tell God that I don't know, that He knows, right?
Yeah.
He already knows what they're coming in for. So what if they don't want to disclose it, right? Maybe it's not safe yet. Maybe the foundation hasn't been set. But God knows I could say one word. He could have me say one word and that opened them up. So you so right, right? You have to pray, because I have to pull on the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit knows what they coming in with. I don't know. From every session, I could just have seen you last week and still not know what you coming in with, because it could be something totally different.
And they might not know to pray for themselves.
Mhm.
So we are that vessel. That's why I went to Liberty University for my degree, which is a Christian school.
Okay.
And I love that I went to that school because it definitely implemented both. Like it taught you, like you have to pray. You have to seek God. Like God should be in every part of your therapy process. Whether your client does it or not, you. are
Mhm.
responsible. Now you take on that charge that I'm going to stand in the gap for this person, and that I'm going to be the one to pray. I'm going to be the one that, when I'm writing their notes and when I'm, doing their plan, that I am praying and I'm asking God to make sure that the eyes of their heart are open to what I'm saying to them so
And
that they can receive.
yeah, you see it, like you can see it in session. Like I it's so important. I didn't go. I went to like Purdue University, which is just a, you know, just a regular school, right?
Yeah.
It's not, and I didn't want to go to a Christian school because I wanted to serve. For me, in my mind, I said I wanted to serve all people. I didn't want
Yeah.
to just serve Christian. Some people go to theology school or whatever, right? And that
Yeah.
was me. I wanted to be able to serve anybody. And so this whole kingdom therapist is something I ran from for a long time because at first I not that I didn't see a need for it, but I just didn't think like it was so necessary. But dealing with the things that these people dealing with, I don't have all the answers. And I could be talking and sometimes the Holy Spirit will just drop it. And I'll be like, I may ask a question and they'll be like, they just open up. Or they may be like, it depends on the person, right? Because some people are spiritual and they like, I know that was a God. I know that came from God because you wouldn't have known that. And
Right.
so I just pray that God allows me to be open so that he can flow through me to flow through them, right? Let me be that conduit wire for him to be able to speak through to get to that part.
So let me ask you this. Why do you think it is such, because like you're saying, this space of church consulting, this space of even church counselors is an area that is of great importance, but it's so scarce. Why do you think that has been something? Because I mean, I've gone to several churches and I can't tell you one. Not even the church I go to now. There's nothing. My church is amazing, but I don't have any church that I've gone to so far that, how you have the nurses ministry, in churches, and they have on their uniforms and they're there and they're available.
Mm-hmm.
I've not been to any church where there's like a known mental health ministry. I mean, why is that?
So one of the things that attracted me to the church that I am actually, I didn't join when we went there because it was on something else totally, and he didn't even open up the doors to join. Actually, the day we went, he was doing a big give day, which was like people donating to the church or whatever. And so
Yeah.
he didn't open up the doors that day. So I know the time is coming, right? But when I first heard him, um, he actually did an altar call for some members to come down who needed therapy. And he was talking about the importance of therapy. And I was like, hold on, wait, who are you? Right? Because as a pastor, you don't really hear that.
Yeah.
And then
Oh yeah.
the church paid for, I think, 3 sessions per person who came down there
What?
just to get them start right. So I was all in. I was sold. Because I was at the time I was trying to, I had prayed and asked God to show me because prior to us moving, I wanted to have a church home that I could connect with, and even online be able to be a part. And when he showed me that, I was like, yep, that's it, God. I was like, this is it, and it's some therapists in the church, and he gave a list for them if they wanted to use a therapist in the church, but they had services, so why is that? I think oh, the church is supposed to be a place of deliverance, but sometimes it keeps people bound. I just said it. Yeah,
Because it's
you
two steps to it. You get delivered, but in order to be freed, like, and free indeed, there are more steps that you need to take in that process.
And maybe because a lot of them aren't aware, the leadership isn't aware of it. They may frown upon therapy. So if you frown upon therapy, what are you going to say to somebody else? You surely not going to press it. You're not going to tell somebody else that, ooh, I think therapy would be good for you. No, they're going to say, pray about it. Mhm.
And God is going to help you through it. And that's one thing, that our pastors are very vocal about in our church. They talk to us from the perspective of they were before they stepped into these spaces of like coaching, and I guess that's their form of like therapy. Um, Before they stepped into those spaces, they were like, especially the his wife, my pastor's wife, she talked about just almost just waking up every morning and just existing like there was no life, you
Mhm.
know um and I think that's why they are so adamant about coaching, because it's what really changed their life.
Mm.
um from the perspective of they begin to see that it's more to me just going to church every Sunday and feeling good. Like that's just, I might as well be a church addict.
Because there's no application. If you're not putting in any application once you leave church, you just did experience sensationalism, which is not going to bring upon no type of change in your life. You get hooked, right? Like I want to jump, shout. You got to make me. That's why some churches have to pump and pry their members, because that's what they have gotten accustomed to. You making them jump, shout, feel good, and when they leave, like you say, they back out there smoking crack, weed, having sex, all these things, because there's been no change, no transformation. You just made them feel good, just like a drug.
Just like a drug. So you a church addict.
Yeah.
You a church fiend. So every Sunday you get up, you put on your Sunday's best, like you ready to go out the door. And to everybody else, you're awesome because you in church all the time.
Yeah.
But you ain't no different than somebody that's smoking the crack pipe. Seriously.
Yep. And I
And
just
yeah, go ahead.
maybe a lot of churches aren't aware that that's what's going on. That's another awareness, right? All of that. You don't always have to have the music. You don't always have to have, but it's like a part of church. If we don't have praise and worship, right, then we didn't have church, you know.
Yeah.
But do I need that to take me in to be able to hear God?
I think that the praise and worship
It
is
has
a
its place.
tool. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think it is a tool for that openness,
Hmm.
that emotionalism, to get your heart in the posture
Hmm.
to receive. But like I said, it's just another piece. And some people, they don't know that, and that's okay. But what I'm saying is that the church, I feel, is responsible for making sure that they know that there's more to life than just praise and worship and being moved emotionally in that moment. There is more to life than that. And if you've been through any type of trauma, which I don't know anybody in this world that has not, um, you definitely want to make sure that you unlock yourself mentally just as you have unlocked yourself spiritually.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because think about it, Tony, if you unlock yourself spiritually, then you're open. And if your mind is not able to accept the next steps, then you're leaving room for the enemy to come in
Hmm.
and wreak havoc.
Hmm.
And so you just have to be very careful about that stuff, But like we're saying, I don't think they teach this kind of stuff in like theology school, like you were saying. Everything is, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a divide. There shouldn't be. And if it is, then there needs to be a safe space where a mental health um professional and a pastor can coexist.
Yeah. I mean, we've heard things about pastors in the last couple years taking their own lives, suicide, right? And so
Pastors' wives.
if that's what's going on, that lets you know that you okay?
I'm good.
That spirituality and mental health are separate, but you need both, you know, like you can know spiritually, you can be called of God, but then if you're so broken or hurt, or your heart has so much in there that needs to be healed.
Excuse me.
but maybe you're afraid of how people are going to view you if you go, so it's a whole that's a whole big topic that needs to be addressed. And I guess at some point God is going to open the door for me to start addressing it.
Yeah, that's gonna be a really good space, and I'm so grateful that you're going to a church that has already normalized therapy.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like that's your vehicle right there. Um, because that's such an area that needs so much attention.
Hmm. Yep.
And
Okay.
it's like you're saying, this is last thing. If people don't feel like that they're safe enough to exist in that space,
Hmm.
then people will still continue. In their mind, they'll know that it needs to happen. But if nobody is saying that it needs to happen, then they'll just walk around saying something's missing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Maybe they won't even know nothing is missing. They may just think that this is what church is.
Yeah. Yeah. I see what you yeah.
Yeah, it's like a blinder, right? This is what I see church is because I don't see
Good as
anything
it gets.
else outside of that.
And this is as good as it gets. I give my money. I go to church. I get my praise on. I go throughout the week. And, life is life. And that's what they think it is. They don't think it's above anything above that. But I've seen it. I've seen people who have allowed themselves to be spiritually and mentally challenged. And I see the kind of lives that they live in.
Mhm.
And it's a totally different kind of life than people who are choosing one or the other and not both. Because
Okay.
you have people too, Tony, that are mentally, they come and they see you and they feel like they can do it on their own.
Mhm.
And then they wonder why they're not getting anywhere.
Okay, next topic. We stayed on that topic for a long time. Let's talk about. I want to know about the trip.
Oh gosh, girl. The
Tell the
trip was
people where you
good.
went.
First of all, let me just say, we will not be in the United States anymore for New Year's, which is long.
Yeah.
Our family has made that decision, and as long as we're living and able to do so, we will not be into. We're actually looking into planning our next trip right now.
Okay.
We
What's
actually
on the agenda? What are y'all thinking? Where are y'all thinking?
so we are considering going on another cruise, but we're not locked into that.
Gotcha.
Um, Jamaica's on the list. What did my husband say? I don't even know. He's done so much research. I have to sit down with him again. It's really no. I mean, shoot, we can go to Africa. I don't care as long as I'm not here. You know what I'm saying? Like Aruba. I don't really care as long as it's warm. Because that was a total culture shock when we came back yesterday from
Girl, I
there,
bet.
and it was 30 degrees. Like that was crazy.
Yeah.
But one thing that I liked the most about it was the fact that we were able to unplug. I had text messaging capabilities, but I didn't have access to like Facebook, Instagram, none of that.
Yeah.
And neither did my daughter. James did, but he wasn't on it like that. And so in that time, I was just explaining to my daughter, it's amazing how much you learned about me. I learned about you. You learned about your
Mm-hmm.
parents because we unplugged.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is necessary, especially when you are raising children in this day and age where TikTok and Facebook and Snapchat and all these things are like dominating forces in their lives for you to step away and unplug.
I
Because
agree.
you think you know your kids, but you don't know your kids until they are completely away from that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so we went to Key West and we went to Mexico, Cozumel, and it was a beautiful time. We really enjoyed ourselves, and we will be, like I said, the only thing I say is we won't be here anymore. Like that is a goal that we have set. We've actually put vacationing as a part of our we don't really make New Year's resolutions, we make goals. But that is a New Year goal for us
Mm-hmm.
to add and incorporate. It's like a must for us. We
Mm-hmm.
sat down today at dinner and we discussed we're gonna go at least as a family at least twice a year. Um, and my daughter and I will go on our girls trip. My husband and I, we actually already have a trip planned for next month. So we're gonna do these things because I think it's important to unplug and get away, break
Mm-hmm.
away
Mm-hmm.
from that life of
Yep.
constantly going and doing, and it's just been great. It was great. We hadn't done that in like 3 years. And so I think we forgot what it was like. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I encourage any and everybody, especially if you have family, but not just because you have a family, to get away,
Mm-hmm.
to
Yep.
get away and
Mm-hmm.
get away to a place that forces you to be in each other's face,
Mm-hmm.
that forces that one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the vacation, the holidays was great. Like, we did a lot. We had to take all our Christmas decorations down because I am that one that I don't want nothing up Christmas related January 1st. And
That's
so
funny. I was driving down the street and I'm like, why do y'all still have y'all lights turned on?
no,
It's over. But
it's
that's just
over.
me.
It's over. So I did not do it Christmas Day. I just couldn't bring myself to do it Christmas Day because to me it was still Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But the day after Christmas, oh, we started going to work. And it took us 2 days to get everything down. Um, we got everything down. I cleaned my whole house. I just really got everything together. And when I walked in here, it was like, whew,
Mm-hmm.
So all I'm doing now is like, washing clothes and doing that normal stuff. That's why my house is crazy right now. Just a normal unpacking and washing clothes and getting, things together. But
Mm-hmm.
overall, I definitely feel like today was a hard day. Like we were just getting back, trying to really whew, breathe, get back into the swing of things.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was well worth it. I have no regrets.
I think that's one of the hardest things about going out of town, going on vacation is the comeback. It's like getting back into the routine of things is difficult. Um, Unpacking. Sometimes I
Mm,
keep my stuff in my suitcase. It may be in my suitcase for 5 days
mm,
until I get sick of seeing that suitcase out there.
mm,
But
mm.
it's just getting reacclimated to just life, because especially if you've been to a place you've been able to relax and you come back and it's like, okay, now it's go time.
Uh,
I'm not ready to go. I'm not ready to go and get back into, but hey, it's a part of life. So yeah.
what was?
Well, for me,
Yeah, I was going to say you got some exciting stuff too.
we finally closed on this house, baby. It was the longest closing ever. Started at 10 o'clock and didn't close until 2 o'clock. Who does that? Where does this happen? And I just I just thought one thing I know. Every time I have bought property, and I hate saying it out, maybe I shouldn't say it out my mouth. Let me see how I can say it. It's just an attack every time I if it was in my previous marriage, if it was me by myself buying something, it's always been an attack. So that just made me today 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 4 hours. Let me know that that's what's there for me. If you
Hmm.
attack me in that area, I
Yeah,
need to be buying property because you're attacking because you're trying to stop my inheritance from
kind
happening.
of feel like you can't do it.
Not gonna happen. I'm
Mhm.
going harder this year and the years to come. I'm gonna have some properties, right? And
Hey, okay.
yeah, we decided that pretty much at the same time. I was downstairs cleaning the house out 2 days ago, and my husband was upstairs. He was talking out loud. I'm thinking in my head, this is crazy. This is how crazy. He said, after the house in Florida, I'm not moving no more. And I was saying the same thing in my head. I said, I don't care how much equity we get. I'm going to stay. We're going to stay in that home. Now, I said, this was the caveat, right? That if we can afford to pay somebody to do all this we had to do, the moving, the cleaning, the just the aspect of moving piece, which may be quite a bit, right? Might cost quite a bit, then maybe
Yeah.
consider it. If the equity is there and we want something different, maybe, but I don't think so. I when I hear people say, "Oh, this gonna be my forever home," I never say that because I don't know what's in store,
You don't know, and you don't want to cut it off.
and I don't want to limit it either. This
Hmm.
is going to be a beautiful home, but there's always greater. So he said, well, we both said we don't want to move again. But that's why I put the caveat out there. Like, if we got the funds to be able to do all this that we had to do and not lift a finger, I mean, literally, like, not lift a finger, but pressing the button to pay them, then I could see myself moving. But what we went through, not only on this baby, man, this lady here, Lord have mercy. God bless her. I'm glad she has a beautiful home, but she took us through the ringer. She
Wow.
she wanted she wanted every penny, every piece of dust. She
The
wanted,
bathtub and the pig in the sink.
baby. And so at the end, we was just like, we're gonna give her this $1,000, $1,070, so we can close this thing out. Cause guess what we got in store is gonna be so much greater.
Yeah.
And we here have it, let's close it out. Cause we're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I ain't got time for that. Look, $1,070, baby, do you know how much we gonna make this year? You can have it.
What's $1,000?
You can have it. You can have it. I'm just ready to say this chapter, in the words of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, it
It's
is
finished.
finished. And I can laugh now, but going through these 4 hours from me being at the gym, getting all these calls, you're trying to negotiate, done,
I'm
done.
over
So,
it.
yes, a new chapter, a new chapter. And I'm excited. You
And
know,
you
I'm excited. I'm embracing it. I'm just, whatever you got, God, for me, it is for me. And I'm coming forward. I ain't letting nobody stop nothing. I don't care. They tried it today, baby. I was livid. My blood was boiling. But I said, on that treadmill, just work it out right here. Work it
that
out right here.
was in the gym.
Whew. In the gym, right? Because I already, honestly, remember, we prayed. We prayed, I think, 2 weeks ago or something about the house, or I prayed on a live or something, because
Mhm.
I already knew. I already knew it was going to be some attacks.
Wow.
And then when I saw it today, like, I woke up this morning and literally didn't really think about what today was. I didn't say no prayer for it
Mm.
till the attack started happening. I was like, "Ooh, girl, you should have known."
Got to pray. Come on now.
I was, look, but maybe that was the confidence I had in God, because it was getting to a point where over about $750, she talking about not closing. Boo boo, you closing on this thing, honey. You
Right now.
closing on this thing. And so, girl, yeah, had to go into warfare. So
But you made it out. You may now, and it's such a testimony to people that feel like they can't and that it won't happen for them.
Yeah.
That you may have to go through some things and you may have to sacrifice more than what you thought you were, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to come out on the other side.
That's right. It ain't no may go through.
Oh, you will.
If it's of God, I'm learning. The older I get, you gonna go through because
You're
it's a
going through.
lesson in it for you. That's how he teaches us. Not all the time, right? That is hard, but a lot of times it's hard because maybe we don't know or haven't experienced it, or he's trying to teach us something. He's trying to get something to us.
Mm-hmm.
So you do go through. God, give me this, give me that. Baby, know what you asking for. Because it's gonna come
Mm-hmm.
with something.
You want the house in Florida, but you got to get through this first.
Mm. And other stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you're gonna get what your heart's desire.
And
You're
that's
gonna
because of the perseverance. That's because of the belief that one thing I know is how to hear God. Now, I've been wrong before, but when I see the attacks, that lets me know, boo, you on the right track.
keep going.
Keep going. Don't give up. Because I said even earlier, I said, well, if it don't close, let your will be done. Right? Somebody else gonna come and they're gonna pay more for it. I wasn't worried.
No.
I'm learning not to worry. When it's God's will, you don't worry. You allow him to do what he needs to do. If that means we would have had to sit on it for longer, you sit on it because he's going to make it work when it's supposed to work.
Because you had already sat on it for almost a year anyway.
Lord Jesus, that's a whole nother thing. 278 days on the market. Just sat, right? About 4 showings. So, you know, just allow God to do what he needs to do. And you do what you need to do in the midst of, right? Because a lot of times we say, oh, we waiting on God. No, God waiting on you, right?
That's That's that super being put on that natural.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There, we have to do naturally.
Yeah.
Before he can even put his hand on it.
Yeah. So I'm learning patience, although it's hard. I'm learning to trust. I'm learning faith and increased faith, right? More faith by just knowing. And the scripture today was Proverbs 3, 1 through I think it was 16. And I read it in the message. Well, I'm gonna read it real fast.
I gotta read one to you too.
Yeah, y'all got time. We
I
gonna read
got time.
real fast. I'm gonna get off in about 10 minutes because I do gotta prep for this client. But Proverbs 3, verse 1, I'm going to go down as far as I know that it hit me. It said, don't assume you know it all. That's a whole preaching word right there. Don't assume you know it all. Because don't we make some assumptions?
Yes, we do.
Good friend, don't forget
Good.
all I've taught you.
Mm.
Take to heart my commands. Now, this is different than the version, I think, King James Version. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on understanding. It's different, right? It's the same, but it's different. It hit different, as they say. Don't forget all I've taught you. Take to heart my commands. They'll help you live a long, long time. A long life lived full and well. Don't lose your grip on love and loyalty. Tie them around your neck. Carve their initials on your heart. Earn a reputation for living well in God's eyes and in the eyes of people. Trust God from the bottom. Why do they say the bottom of your heart?
Because you got to think about it. If it's at the top, you still got so much more to go. The bottom means it's the whole thing.
Come on.
To
There
the
you
bottom,
go.
that's it.
That means it's full, right?
That's it.
It's the fullness of it, right?
Yes.
Your so whole trust heart. God from the bottom of your heart. Don't try to figure out everything on your own. And I read that in the midst of the closing, and I was like, that's when I was like, hey, Whatever your will is. If she say she ain't gonna buy it, I'm cool. Whatever your will is, let it be done, right? So don't try to figure out everything on your own. Listen for God's voice in everything you do, everywhere you go. He's the one who will keep you on track. Don't assume that you know it all. Run to God, run from evil. Your body will glow with health. Your very bones will vibrate with life. And then at the end, very end, last one, last verse, nope, above that, it said, but if you're down on your luck, he's right there to help. No matter what, right?
No matter what.
As long as you got him, he
You're
gonna
fine.
help you through it. That part. And I was done. I hadn't read my word, right? I woke up this morning and I read my word and I was like, I was supposed to read this today. So I felt good.
And that's the icing on the cake, and I'm finna give you the cherry on top.
Baby, I like them maraschino cherries now.
So, James chapter 1,
Ooh.
verse 2 through 4. Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. I love where it says that you just need to get real happy. Just get real happy
In the
when
midst.
troubles of any kind come your way, because that is an opportunity for your faith to be tested and for your endurance, which is patience, your ability to deal with situations. It grows. So you went into this and now you're totally different and changed because of it. You have more patience now. You have more endurance.
A whole lot. A whole lot. And I see it myself, right? And it's better to embrace it than resist it, because embracing it allows it to just, it changes your mindset. I went into it and said, whatever, it's going to work for our good, no matter what. I knew whether she closed or didn't close, because it ain't dependent on on her. It's dependent on what God is trying to do in me. And so I went into it and I said, it's going to be all good. And it was. And so, yeah, I can feel literally through this 278 plus, damn near a year. Let's just say 365 days. Through this time, what does it say? Your endurance, my faith, my patience, my everything was growing. And that took me into servanthood.
Because guess what you're going to need in serving God's people?
Lord have mercy. I already know. Yeah. All of that. All of that and more.
So not only did he give it to you because it was what you needed, he also gave it to you as confirmation that you're going in the right direction.
I didn't look at it like that. But yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. So you're right where you need to be, my friend. You just gotta be grateful, be thankful you made it through. And now when the next thing comes, you'll be able to persevere.
And I'll be able to teach it, because going through it, I'll be able to help somebody else, right? Like I actually experienced longevity of a year, right? Like I don't know how that lady did it with the 40 years with the issue of blood. Because 40 years, I might have threw in the towel. Like
No.
bleeding every day.
No.
Yeah. I,
Back then,
man. And that meant she was separate from everybody else because she was considered unclean.
they didn't have no always back then.
Baby, and always ain't always. Cause I remember always going up my back. But
Yes,
anywho,
yes.
you
So
know,
that's what I'm. So that was there. So even then, they didn't. She didn't even have that.
right.
So
So
boy, I tell you what, I think I would have been running to Jesus too.
hmm, you know. So I'm grateful, right? It helped me to be grateful. It helped me to appreciate. A lot of times we want to run from things. It made me lean in because I'm learning when you lean in, that's when he can really teach you. You
Oh,
really get the fullness, right? Instead, when you embrace it instead of resisting it. Resisting it causes it to stick around even longer.
because it's a lesson that you need to learn.
Yeah.
And if you're resisting the lesson, then you can't move forward.
Yep. Yep.
So you might as well just sit at his feet.
That's right. And so chapter 2 has already started, like I'm here at my mother-in-law's house. But in that, look, I'm trying to keep a positive mindset.
You
In
can't
that,
even tell.
in that, and that's when you're fasting and
Mm,
praying.
mm,
Nobody else should know.
mm,
Who else
mm.
needs to know that? Nobody, right? And so I just made it up in my mind. I'm gonna make the best of it, baby. We turned this room into an Airbnb. That's what I called it, honey. It's an Airbnb.
I can't even tell the difference.
Boom! You
You
said a
did a
whole
great
word
job.
right there. You said a whole word right there. Now I can tell the difference, but
Your people won't be able
that's
to.
that part,
The
right?
foreigners won't be able to. The royal ones won't be able to.
Whew. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about what 2024 is bringing already
Yes,
on the
yes.
third day. Come on
On
with
the
that
third day.
third day.
On the third day. He ain't even got started yet. And look what he done did.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we got over what our bottom line was. So I'm grateful for that. What we
So,
thought our bottom line, we said, hey, we need to walk with at least this amount. And we did plus. So thank you.
so what was it giving that $1,000 up at the end of the day?
Hard, but
You got
hard,
you
but
got it
yeah, yeah, and more. Cause
and more.
I didn't even tell you this. This morning, I opened up. So y'all, yeah. So this is all what Pour It Out is. Subscribe,
Like,
like, right?
share.
There you go. Right. If y'all want more, Pour It Out. Y'all hearing this? How we talk, right? We talk and we share goodness. It's not always needing encouragement. We do so much, right? So please share it, right? Please
Yeah.
subscribe and
Yeah.
hit that little bell. At some point,
Ding,
I'm
ding,
gonna
ding.
have to get, what is that with? Is that with the when you do podcasts that you have those, you can make those noises?
We're gonna ask James.
Oh, okay. Because I need to make them noises. I like the noises. Okay.
Yes, and then when it comes up, it just like pops up.
Yes,
It's
I
like
love that.
like, share,
Yeah.
and
Hit the
subscribe.
bell. Ding. Right. Okay. So do
We're
that part.
gonna ask James to help us out.
I opened my email. This is during the closing. Ooh, I didn't even get it. I got an email that said a $5,000 grant that I applied for was approved.
Bing.
Bing.
We need the thing.
I didn't even think about it. So
You see what
giving
I'm saying?
up $1,070 was what? Just to get it back.
Just to get it back.
That's just God
Plus,
showing that, guess what? You may have what you thought was lost. You didn't lose because here it is. I'm giving
it
you
is.
more.
I'm giving you way. No, and that's why they say that you can't be God's giving. Because not only did you give up the 1,000, but he gave you 5,000. How does the math? The math ain't mathing.
Do you know my pastor just preached on that for a month? The math ain't mathing.
Math ain't mathing.
It wasn't, right? God is a God of multiplication. And did he multiply that 1,000 times 5?
And he's a God of exponential growth.
Bro, come on. Because I said, I'm going to use that for my business, baby. Oh, yeah, I got some stuff I need to do. And so I'm just grateful, right? Where the enemy thought I was going to be all down and out. Boo, you ain't never going to steal my joy. Never.
Because it just said that you need to count when you're going through stuff. That's when you need to be the most joyous.
Exactly. But I never, in a human mind, not humanistic, in a human mind, look, don't, in a human mind, you think a lot of times from your emotions, how you feel. That's why you got to keep those emotions. Okay, feel your emotions. You got to know that they're there, but don't let them run you.
Right. You
If I,
got to keep that.
yes, if I would have let them emotions run me, I wouldn't be feeling like I feel right now. I'm on 10.
But see,
Could be a little bit of this skinny margarita.
But see, the thing about it is also you got this right. You done got your mind right.
Come on.
So that when this right here starts to go kind of crazy, because it will, this is your anchor.
Mm-hmm.
I heard somebody say one time, who was that? I think it was T.D. Jakes. And he was like, when your mind is invaded, that's when you really have to be concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got to keep that mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's almost like when a teenager, and I'm going through this right now, I got a preteen, I see it, God, I see it. We have to be our daughter's anchor.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now she's operating solely out of emotion.
Emotions, yes. Yeah, them
And so
teenage
we
years.
have to be her anchor, her common sense, her regulator, her thermostat.
That's a
And
good way to
so
look at it.
you have to know when we become adults and when our emotions won't change, but you should mature mentally enough to where something kicks in to say, my emotions do not run me. I'm not going to operate out of my emotion. My mind is my anchor.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it talks about the renewing of the mind. That's why it always talks about in the Bible. You have to have a stable mind.
Mm-hmm. Doors of the church is open. That's all I can say.
What Latoya P say? Come on in, come on in.
Correct. Come on in, come on in. Y'all come on in.
Come on in. Come on in. Just come on in.
Well,
yeah.
That has been poured out. Like,
that's
poured out. Legit. Like, I mean, there's so much more, right? We talked a lot of spiritual stuff today and mind stuff, and we just talk about any and everything that is of importance, and needs to be talked about. So y'all can catch us every Wednesday. Now we might have to tweak the time. Because I do have clients who want to come in the evening, because originally it was supposed to be a little later. But nonetheless, we'll be on Wednesday sometime.
We'll be here.
Yep. So y'all, if y'all enjoyed this, again, subscribe, again, like and share and hit the bell. Ding. Yes, so hit the bell.
Oh, there you go.
Ooh, you did that. You did that. That's it. Stop it.
Oh my God.
Yes.
This has been great. Y'all, when we on the when we be doing about our business, it be 3 hours later. So we're gonna cut it off an hour and a half early tonight. And like Tony said, we hope that you enjoyed this. This is the first in the new year of many. And we just really want y'all to be encouraged, to be transparent, to share, to be open, to be honest, to be transparent, because that's what this is about.
Yes.
We just do it in a girlfriend hour type of setting. But at the end of the day, it's to expose those things on the inside of you that are blocking you and holding you back and not allowing you to be the best version of you. So we encourage you to like, share, subscribe, because this is just the beginning.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that closure. That was amazing. Yeah.
You're welcome.
So we will see y'all next Wednesday. And
See
maybe
you
we'll
next
have a
week.
topic, maybe not. Um, I'm at my mother-in-law house, so I don't know what stuff is. So I don't know what I'm gonna come on with. I might have water, just like Sheonta is gonna have water, but nonetheless, we can still pour it out. We still gonna be real, raw,
Yes.
transparent, vulnerable, all of those things. Okay, and that's
Yeah.
what we want from y'all as well. Next time, y'all can add in the comments, right? Maybe we're creating, hopefully, we're creating a safe space so y'all can know we're not here to judge y'all. You know,
No.
we here to let y'all know it is okay to let it out. Actually, it is freeing. You feel so much better. It's like a
Mhm.
load lifted, right? Off of you.
Absolutely.
So,
Ab-
yeah. So we'll see y'all next week. I don't know what time. All right. We love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.